Bill Gates is a great man with a humble personality. In his childhood, his curiosity to explore computers and software led to a career. He started to encounter friends and foes along the way and is now exchanging a fortune through the Bill and Melinda Gates Foundation to charities, hospitals, libraries, and schools. Bill Gates is an example of an amazing explorer with life-changing encounters and global exchanges.
One technology expert claims that Microsoft's reach and influence are greater than any organization in American history. The man orchestrating all that is Bill Gates, the undisputed king of the Microsoft empire.
As a child, Gates was a very bright student who was always ready to learn. He excelled in his classes, but was bored with public high school. His parents enrolled him at Lakeside, a very elite private school. At Lakeside, he became addicted to anything related to computers. He met another student, Paul Allen, who also had a love for computers and programming. Paul and Bill became great friends and would eventually team up to create Microsoft.
But it was when I was 12 years old that I first got to use a computer, actually a very limited machine by today's standards. That definitely fascinated me when I was first exposed.
But it didn't take long to realize that they were at the threshold of something that could be quite significant.
Paul found a small personal computer company based in Albuquerque, New Mexico that created a computer called the Altair 8800. Bill and Paul convinced the company that they could create an operating system for the Altair. I had the opportunity to interview Ryan Gavin, General Manager of Search for Microsoft, via Skype. Mr. Gavin has worked at Microsoft for 17 years.
Right now my role is General Manager of Search. So I get the pleasure of looking after our business and our marketing of our search business.
Did Bill Gates' reputation have anything to do with what you wanted to do when you worked there?
And Bill Gates certainly was a huge figure in kind of what Microsoft stood for, the ambitions of Microsoft. There's such a breadth of what we do, and part of that is due to Bill Gates' legacy in terms of his ambitions and where he sought to really change the world on so many different dimensions.
After high school, Bill explored his interests at Harvard, but again was bored. In 1975, with the success of the Altair, he decided to drop out of Harvard and create Microsoft with Paul. It turned out to be the beginning of a huge exploration that changed the way we create and exchange information and ideas. Have you met Bill Gates?
I have actually met Bill Gates. I've been very fortunate to both meet him on the business side, being in meetings with him at Microsoft. I've also gotten to engage with him in kind of some leadership development activities. There's the feeling that you get when someone walks in the room sometime, a friend at school, or maybe your mom or your dad, and they come in the room and you kind of know they're there. Bill's one of those individuals. When he walks in the room, you feel it.
Bill's talents were not only in writing software. He explored new ways of doing business. In 1981, IBM wanted Microsoft software for their new computers. Bill let them use their software, but IBM did not have the rights to own the software.
It was down to Gates to persuade the man from IBM that he could deliver.
Within 15 minutes, it was pretty clear he was a better programmer than I was, that he was a better lawyer than my lawyer, and probably a better engineer than my engineer.
Microsoft required IBM to purchase a license for every computer. With this new way of exchanging software, Gates and Microsoft were becoming extremely wealthy. To make even more money, Microsoft made more hardware with the same exact software for a cheaper price than IBM. At this point, 30% of all computers in the world were running Microsoft software. Microsoft was soon recruited by Steve Jobs, CEO of Apple Computer, to create user-friendly software for their new Macintosh computer.
Well, to create a new standard, it takes something that's not just a little bit different. It takes something that's really new and really captures people's imagination. And the Macintosh, of all the machines I've ever seen, is the only one that meets that standard.
Microsoft began creating their own new operating system called Windows that mimicked the functions of Macintosh. Jobs was furious and threatened to sue Microsoft, but Bill threatened to take away the software Apple needed. Microsoft soon overpowered the computer industry, including Apple. This encounter created a huge conflict, which led to the fierce competition between these two very powerful men. These events led to the technology exchange that impacted the world forever. Meanwhile, IBM was angry with how Microsoft was mandating their software fees and took them to court. Microsoft stopped charging the license fees, and then the case was dropped. As Bill continued to explore what computers could do, he encountered a competitor called Netscape. It was the software that allowed people to go onto internet websites. Bill then created Internet Explorer to dominate his competitors. It is clear that every area that Bill explored has led to a massive impact and exchanges in the world today.
But back then, the idea that everyone could have these wonderful things called computers that we could connect and kind of bring the world closer together was really a pretty bold ambition. And Bill really was out ahead, really saying this is where the world can and should go.
In 1987, Bill met the love of his life, Melinda. They were married on New Year's Day, 1994. In 2000, they formed the Bill and Melinda Gates Foundation, which helps people all over the world.
And now if you look at where he's taken that with the work with the Bill and Melinda Gates Foundation, he's really brought a whole new idea of exploration of how do you take some of the world's most chronic problems. And we think about poverty in the third world, you think about infectious diseases, and even more fundamental things like roads and clean water, and really applying that idea of how do we break through on those big fundamental problems that can really change the lives for millions and millions and millions of people. And that type of vision is what sets off many people on an exploration.
Today, much of his massive fortune is given away through the foundation. Much of the foundation's resources goes towards solving hunger and poverty issues, as well as finding cures in healthcare.
So in many ways, Bill Gates is an explorer himself, but he's really an enabler of explorers. He brings on new explorers just like yourself, who gets to explore fun topics like Bill Gates. When you look at this man that you're learning about and studying, there's so many impressive things he's done. But one of the more beautiful things is he's a very humble individual. He's a very thoughtful individual. He cares a lot about people. His work that he's doing in philanthropy with the Bill and Melinda Gates Foundation really does focus on not big, fancy, technological, complex ways to solve problems. He understands that sometimes it's about building a road or giving someone clean water or making sure they have access to medicine. And so he has a wonderful humility about him that really does make you feel like you're in the presence of someone special when you get to spend some time with him.
Gates is a man who continues to explore ways to impact our world for the better. His life encounters bring great wealth that he now chooses to exchange for the greater good.